Hey, Michael Church, Crawl Space Ninja. Today I have a great guest with me. This is Andrew from the Crawl Space Ninja of Wilmington location, Andrew Davis. And Andrew, I got the opportunity to go out to North Topsail Island. If you've never been there before, it is beautiful and fantastic. Andrew has the pleasure of living there on a regular basis, so he reminds me almost weekly of what I'm missing out there. And he and I decided to do a video. He approached me actually about doing a video about oceanfront humidity and mold solutions. You guys have a lot of unique problems that the rest of us don't have. And so anyway, let's get into this. Let's talk about some of the things that we run into or that you run into at Crawl Space Ninja of Wilmington and how you address those. So take it over, Andrew.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michael, for having me. I am very excited to talk about, I think, some unique solutions that we've come up with to oceanfront homes or just homes near a water point, specifically along the coast of North Carolina. That is our market within Crawl Space Ninja Wilmington. That is also the market in which I am involved on the real estate side. And I am inside these houses, Michael, all the time. The number one problem that comes up in home inspections, you might guess it based on the video, is humidity and moisture problems in the bottom story, which is usually a garage and entrance point in houses on the island. Now, normal crawl space solutions kind of don't make sense, right? You're not going to encapsulate a garage space to control the moisture. You know, the garage door is going to open and close throughout the season. And furthermore, the doors are going to open and close throughout the season. So you don't sort of have this, maybe you're going into the crawl space once or twice a year. And so it generally stays sealed. So how do you create a sustainable, intelligent fix to moisture and humidity? And that's really what I'd love to talk to you about.
Well, and you know, they are so uniquely constructed. I don't know if the entire East Coast is like it, but compared to your Gulf Coast, you know, when I would go on vacation in the Gulf Coast, it's basically a house on sticks and you drive under, right? Well, when I get to North Topsail, North Carolina, it's a house with a garage, a closed garage. You open the door into the inside of the home, and that part is conditioned air. AC is running just out on the other side of that garage, and it's all finished. It's all drywall, insulated, the whole 9 yards. So like you said, you've got this just bombardment of moisture from the ocean and just different things like that hitting that garage and leaching into the living space where you've got really hot air hitting a really cold AC unit down there. And if you're not careful, you see mold growing everywhere down there. So help us out with some of the solutions that we discussed and what y'all have done to some of the houses on the coastal areas to fix them.
Well, Michael, first and foremost, we want to control the humidity in that garage space. But let me talk a little bit about the difference between the garage space and the kind of the stick built or on pylons, I should say, type of housing you've seen on the Gulf Coast. The moisture is still a problem. The humidity is still a problem. The cool thing about having the garage as the bottom story is that you have an opportunity there to control the moisture and humidity before it hits the main living space. Whereas a house is just on pylons, it's just the outside air hitting usually the subfloor, which is directly above where you're parking. So naturally along the coast, these are some pretty expensive houses. You know, relative to the rest of the housing market around the United States, they're pretty expensive houses. And so naturally, you know, a homeowner is going to want to protect that investment. Now, controlling the humidity and moisture, first, we want to insulate the space. Normally, these garage spaces have a center compartment, which is the entrance to the house. That center compartment is insulated. However, the space between the garage and the first living space above it has the minimum amount of insulation required by code for an interior dwelling. So what that means in layman's terms is that all that moisture and humidity is going straight from the garage up to the first floor of the living unit. That's a problem. So if we can insulate the garage space and add a dehumidifier and a negative airflow, we can constantly combat the moisture and humidity levels in those garage spaces and therefore the rest of the house.
So when you're
And
talking
then,
about insulating the garage, are you talking about at the foundation wall? And I'm sorry for interrupting you. Are you talking about insulating at the foundation wall and the subfloor of the garage below the living space, or just one or the other?
yeah, good question. It's one or the other or both if you wanted to. What we have found is an effective measure that is also cost effective for the homeowner is to insulate the walls around the garage, then add a dehumidifier and custom active ventilation system. That entire package seems to enable us to bring the moisture and humidity levels down to a manageable level. And the real benefit here, uh, beyond preserving the house as a main factor, is also allowing the HVAC system to not be working constantly. So it's a trade off of energy usage. Certainly, you're running the dehumidifier and active ventilation system throughout the season, but you're using far less power to run those things than you are running an HVAC system or two or three, depending on the size of the house, constantly.
Well, and you bring up a good point about the stick-built pylon house. You're right. I mean, looking back, whenever I would pull underneath that house in the Gulf, I'm looking up and they've got plywood, they've got, fiberglass between the plywood and the subfloor. So basically, the homeowner is trying to deal with the humidity in the living space because that moisture is making its way into the living space. And at least where you're at, you've got this, area where you can address the humidity before it has a chance to go into the living space. So I love your approach, and maybe people in the Gulf will start building garages so they can deal with it a little differently. But one of the things that I see, even inside that living space downstairs, you open the door from the garage into the living space, and right around that door, around the back door, there's mold everywhere,
Mhm.
and it's that dew point clashing, right? So you fixing
Yep.
it what you're saying is that you all have had success fixing that humidity problem in the garage, and it's also taken care of that humidity or that dew point problem in the living space. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, we can have basically the same relative humidity in the garage space as the entry point to the house, eliminating the cause of the growth there around the frame of the door between the garage space and the entry point. And then the other thing that we've done in the past, if the house required it, which, well, let's see, 90% of them have. Obviously, if there's mold present, we want to treat it. So, in order to remediate that stuff, we found that fogging it with Anabet cleaner has been effective. We have not encountered mold to the degree that would require a soda blast, although that could be an option, certainly within garage space.
Right. Right. If it's on the trusses or the subfloor, you would treat it just like a normal crawl space. But if it's on drywall or things like that, normally that's either a tear out of the drywall, depending on how bad it is, or a fog and wipe down treatment. Is that correct?
That's right.
All right, so I can maybe sense some wheels turning online about, okay, well, obviously the garage door, right? How can you dehumidify the garage when you got that huge garage door that's allowing humidity? And I've got people in my neighborhood that leave their garage door half open so the cat can come in. I assume your solution isn't a fix for people who treat their garage door that way. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. The garage door is going to need to stay closed as often as possible. Just like if you had a climate controlled garage space at home, you'd want to keep that garage door closed as much as you possibly can. It doesn't mean that it's not usable. It just means to be conscious of the fact that that garage door needs to be shut as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, even in Tennessee here, I've got a dehumidifier in my garage because I have a bonus room that is a conditioned space over the garage. And I can't tell you the difference now and how the bonus room feels, cooler in the summer, warmer in the winter because that humidity from that garage is not making its way into the living space. And that's really what we're talking about is comfort and keeping mold from growing.
That's right.
Andrew, this is some great information, and I am very confident that there are some people that live on the coast, even if you're up in Delaware, all the way down the East Coast, maybe even in California, that have a garage with a humidity problem that they've been looking for a solution. And it sounds like you all have a solution for that problem, a solution that you've already been putting in place and in motion, and it's working effectively. Is that correct?
That's right, Michael.
That's great. Well, thank you again, Andrew, for being on our video. And I'm Michael Church with Crawl Space Ninja here with Andrew Davis from Crawl Space Ninja of Wilmington. And we hope you make it a happy and blessed day, and we'll see you later.